Good morning, Year 3, and here's our English lesson for Thursday the 11th of February. Now, I've been looking back on the previous videos and I can see that Mrs. Davies has been working her way through the alphabet and we've now reached the letter V for our handwriting practice. So let's have a go and see how good we can make our letter V. So yesterday it was the letter U, and V is quite similar to U, except it's spiky. So it should have a nice point on it. It should almost be like a triangle without a top, and then a flick ready to join on to the next letter. So these two lines should be very straight, and then a slight curve on your flick to join it onto the next letter. And I've thought of a really good word that we can practice the letter V in the middle of, because it's one of the words that the government says you need to learn, and we have been working on it before. So let's try this word. Can you guess what it's going to be? It's a long word. Favourite. Favourite. F-A-V-O-U-R-I-T-E. You should be very good at the letter U because that was yesterday, and R and T are also letters you've been learning about very recently. So have a go at practicing the letter V and the word favourite and see how you get on. Okay, so on to the second part of the English lesson today, and we've had 2 lessons already about adverbial phrases, groups of words that tell you in the first lesson when something happens. So here are the examples that Mrs. Davies went through the other day, and we had some adverbial phrases saying where something happens, and today's lesson is going to be about how something happens, how words. And actually in these examples that we're going to pick out, it's usually just one word, and a word that tells you how something's being done is called an adverb. It tells you about the verb. How was it done? So it's often just a word on its own. So it can be quite confusing, all this language you use to explain how we use words, but hopefully this will be a useful lesson. So if we go back to the story of Jim and the Beanstalk that we have been reading together, I'm actually going to go down to the bottom of the page because there are not many examples of adverbs in this story. And I'm going to use a green pen to underline because that's the colour we use for adverbs in school. So I know we've already underlined on this sheet some of the when and where adverbial phrases. So we're now going to read through the text and see if there's any words that tell us how something's happened. So I'm going to start with the part about the glasses. Haven't you got any glasses? Asked Jim. Only beer glasses, said the giant. I mean reading glasses, said Jim. They go on your nose and ears. It's my eyes I'm talking about, roared the giant, banging his fist on the table. These glasses are for your eyes, said Jim, and he explained about the glasses while the giant listened carefully. Now, carefully is the word we're interested in this lesson because it tells you how the giant listened. It's a word all by itself, carefully, and that is called an adverb because it tells you about the listening, the thing that the giant was doing. Let's keep reading. Get 'em, said the giant fiercely when Jim had finished, and I have just spotted another adverb in this sentence. Get 'em, said the giant fiercely when Jim had finished. How does the giant talk. Have you spotted it? He said it fiercely. Get 'em for me. I'll pay good gold. I'll have to measure you, said Jim. So Jim measured the giant's head. The giant gave Jim a gold coin, and Jim climbed down the beanstalk as fast as he could. How did he climb down the beanstalk? So this is a phrase. This is an adverbial phrase. It's not an adverb because it tells you how he did it, but it takes more than one word to tell you how. So this is an adverbial phrase. I know it's really confusing. Holding tight to the coin. He showed it to his mother, but before she could say anything, he got dressed and ran off to the oculist. There are no words that say how his mother said anything, how he got dressed, or how he ran. So there aren't any adverbs in that part. The oculist could hardly believe his eyes when he saw the giant gold coin, but he set to work straight away. He worked all night, and in the morning the glasses were ready. Jim carried them home, then he tied them on his back and climbed up the beanstalk. Again, there's no adverbs here. We don't know how he climbed up the beanstalk. The giant loved his glasses and began reading rhymes to Jim as soon as he put them on. You're a good boy, he said. Now I can see you properly. I wonder what you'd be like to eat. I can't eat anything much nowadays because I've got no teeth. So there aren't many adverbs in the story, but I'm sure you can think of lots. If we look at the word carefully and the word fiercely, if we think about it, the word careful is an adjective. You could say that Mrs. Joshi was careful when she poured the cup of tea. Careful is an adjective. So if I write it here, careful describes a noun. If we put the ending ly on the end, it becomes an adverb. Carefully. Here comes another example. The giant is fierce. So here's an adjective describing the noun, the giant. He's fierce, but when he starts talking to Jim, he says it fiercely. Can you see how ly has been added onto the end of the word? So this is called a suffix. And when you add ly onto the end of adjectives, it becomes an adverb. It tells you how something has been done. So, all I'd like you to do today is come up with some adverbs of your own. So, what sort of things am I looking for? Let's see if you can think of some adjectives and turn them into adverbs. So we've got adjectives on one side. I'm going to draw a little paintbrush. You can do the same in your book to remind us that we're painting a picture with adjectives of what a noun is like. And I'm going to do an arrow to show that we're changing adjectives into adverbs. And the way we do that is to add something called a suffix, which is something you put on the end of a word to change it and make a new word. So we're going to add ly onto some words. So let's think of a describing word, an adjective for a noun. So happy. The giant was happy when Jim brought his wig. Happy, when you add ly, you need to remember to do something. So this is a sort of spelling lesson as well. If the adjective ends in a Y, you change it to an I to get the correct spelling. So you might need to have a look at the spelling and think, does it look right? So you say goodbye to the Y and change it to an I when you add Lee. So we add Lee, but we think about the spelling and whether it makes sense. Okay, what other adjectives might describe something in the story? So maybe when Jim climbed the beanstalk, he climbed quickly. So Jim was quick when he climbed. By adding the suffix ly, we can change it to an adverb. How did he climb? We add ly. He climbed quickly. And the good one about that is it's just spelt like that. We don't need to worry about a spelling rule. I don't mind if you don't quite spell these words correctly. I want you to hopefully notice when you add the ly, if it looks wrong, maybe you're going to realise that you need to do something to change it so that it's spelled correctly. So let's have another example. Let's have the word excited. So this is an adjective. Jim's mum was excited when she saw the gold coin. So when she saw the gold coin, she clapped her hands excitedly. Excited plus ly changes the adjective to an adverb, excitedly. Okay, so don't copy my examples down, that's a waste of time. See if you can come up with some adjectives, some describing words for Jim or the giant or Jim's mum in the story. And then, once you've done that, can you change them into adverbs by adding the suffix ly? I might put a link on this video to teach you about the spelling rules for adding ly and see how you get on. But the principle is verbs are described by adverbs, and adverbs usually have the ending ly on the end, which makes them easy to spot. Have a go. Let's see if you can think of at least 10 adjectives and change them into adverbs. Good luck, Year 3.